Jamie here. Who else would it be? This is Observations with Otsu for Monday, February 17th. Hope you've had a good day. Had a couple weeks off with Observations with Otsu. This is the first time in 3 weeks. Long story short, our daughter has arrived home. Everything's been going well. So that's pretty much the reason why I've delayed on this. We have a lot to talk about today. Basically, weekly time frames: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. Title of this is Return of the King because we're going to focus on more Bitcoin stuff. In addition to that, I got two things. One, I am starting a Bitcoin only YouTube series called 21 Million Minutes. It's going to be much more, it's going to be more news focused. We're going to do a hybrid of charts, analysis, news, events. And so kind of going to go into more Bitcoin maxi territory. And so that may be something you guys like. That may not be, but I'm going to test it out, see how that goes. I've been really wanting to do a Bitcoin focused series for a long time, so I'm excited for that. The second thing is that I have Apex Premium. It's basically my group that I have, my private group of like-minded traders, very smart, intuitive, wise traders. We tend to talk pretty much daily in our Discord channel. You can go ahead and sign up for that in the link in the description on YouTube. If it's on X, it's going to be in the replies right after the main message. We do charts, analysis. We just added A-Rune signals. You guys know I'm a big A-Rune indicator fan. I just did bought signals that are based off of the A-Rune. So I've launched 16 different coins, planning to get more, planning to get many more features, in addition to that. So go ahead and check that out. I think it might be worth your while. So, it just depends on user preferences. So anyway, those are the two things. Let's get started. All right, so starting here with Bitcoin on the weekly. And so I'm going to do something a little bit differently, at least for the next few videos. I tend to take some time focusing on the theme of this video, focusing on, total market cap or some extra, oriented data. And I think that takes too long. A lot of my videos end up being about 40 to 50 minutes long, and I think that's way too long for most of you. I'm really trying, believe it or not, I've been trying for almost a year now to try to trim that down to like 15 minutes. And it's just, I tend to ramble. So we're going to do something a little differently. I'm going to just talk about the theme while I'm talking about Bitcoin. Really, that's the whole point is with Bitcoin. We've had a lot that has gone down over the course of the past month, but I think more so over the past few days. There's been some issues with, I guess, the Argentina coin and some of the president stuff and the Melania token and things like that, where I guess it's insider trading and all that. Like, to be honest with you, I don't really know quite a bit. And that's intentional, by the way. I don't tend to look at these things. You guys may know, especially those of you listening that are in my premium group, you guys know that I'm more of a chart purist. I focus mainly on the charts. That's also why my Bitcoin video, 21 million minutes, is going to be a little bit special because I'm actually going to dive into more of the news and the FOMC and all, personalities, and it's really going to be a different flavor. So if you do like some of that stuff, I'm going to get into that, right? But Observations with Otsu is mainly just a pure trading analysis portion. Now, I say all this to say the sentiment on CT has never been lower for quite some time. I'd say for a couple years. And people are ready to call out scams, things like that. Now, that being said, we've been down this road before. I have my own criticisms for this, mainly that a lot of you guys are hypocrites because so I can only focus on what I see close next to me, right? I don't really care if someone did a scam or not. Like I do, obviously. That's wrong, right? But it is wrong. But at the same time, a lot of us have seen so many scams throughout the years. Like, I've been here for 8 years. Like, I've probably seen 500,000 scams, and I can really think off the top of my head, like one probably every, if I really sat down and tried, I could probably write down one every month, like a big one. And this is the big one of the month, right? And so, I think we should call it out. That's not where I'm going. What I am saying is, why are people all of a sudden upset now when you should have been upset years ago? Okay, this is something that has been an issue for quite some time. There's a reason why people are not gravitating towards crypto anymore, towards meme coins anymore. And they've been this way since COVID, honestly. Been this way like SB, SF, SBF. Sam Bankman-Fried. Um, why didn't we call that out? Why didn't people call that out when it was the time to do so? When it was you know outside the time frame of when it was popular to do so, why didn't people call that kind of stuff out? Okay. And yes, it did go down a little bit differently. Yes, this one's much more extreme. Yes, this does involve a president of a country. And so you have these things, right? And but at the same time, this is the same flavor that we've been used to. Like, I've been very vocal to be dismissive and revoke degenerate mentality. Don't call yourselves degen. Don't tell yourself you're in the trenches. I can't stand that anymore. I really, really can't. Okay, and I've been part of CT for quite a long time, and maybe I shouldn't. Maybe it's time for me to exit, because CT is not what it used to be. Okay, it's not. And to be honest with you, it's not even that great anymore. Like, it's not even anything. Like, I don't think people understand that the ecosystem has grown so much that CT is a small percentage of what it used to be. Okay, we talk about liquidity being low, but the social liquidity is also very low. Okay, so you have those things kind of playing out. So I say all that to say, I still think there's a lot of hope and opportunity in the cycle and CT in general and everything like that. I still think the charts look better than what the sentiment is standing for. It's what I mentioned yesterday. And so what I mentioned is that if you look at things from a fundamental perspective, the market is just bad, really, really, really bad. But from a technical perspective, things are still looking pretty good. So we have like a fundamental black swan, and the markets really haven't reacted that, um, you know, responsive to that. And so we can look at the total market cap to kind of show, on the weekly, like we're still above this top leg here. And even if you want to go to like total three, let's say, I mean, we're still we've been in this range for some time. We've been a drop down, like as far as the weekend goes, like we're still above where we were like a week ago. Okay, so I don't think people realize, like, yeah, that was pretty bad, but the markets are not reflecting that. The markets are not. And so I do think that I've said this before, black swans are bullish events. That's a real controversial statement, but I believe that that's true. And so a lot of you guys are trying to exit now, and I think that's a mistake. I don't think you should trade now. I think you should still be focused now, but don't throw your hat in the ring, or was it don't throw your stuff away or whatever. Don't quit, basically, when this could be the prime opportunity to keep going. Now, that pertains to this title, Return of the King, because a lot of people, because Bitcoin is the king of crypto, and a lot of people are trying to say, well, I'm going to go back to Bitcoin, and I think that is par for the course. I think a lot of people that delve into meme coins get into Bitcoin. Like, there are people that I know that are in chart, like they work for Mara and stuff like that, that used to be meme coiners and now they're Bitcoiners. Okay, and so that's kind of why I want to focus on this, is because I think Bitcoin is going to get a main focus. And I think Ethereum will too. So anyway, that's mainly the theme of this, is like, okay, everybody's panicking, scared, afraid, blah blah blah. But all I think is I think that shows two things. I think it shows that Bitcoin is going to be the runner. Okay, that's why Bitcoin exists. Okay, and two, I think that will give us an opportunity for an alt season down the road or later this year, because things are like, you can't force people to buy things now if you wanted to. Okay, people just don't want to buy meme coins right now. And so what's changed? Like nothing has changed from the chart side. It's like all of a sudden meme coins aren't, like, all of a sudden you aren't in it for the tech. Well, you never were in it for the tech to begin with. So all of us were just as hypnotized as everybody else. Now all of a sudden, like, people want to have this altruism, and which I think you should have, like trust, like I'm a licensed preacher here. Like, I think you should have plenty of goodwill and to love one another as yourselves. Okay, so I'm not dismissing that. I'm not trying to pick a side here. I'm just saying from an overarching broad stroke, right? Like everybody wants to change their tune because of this. But on the charts, nothing has changed. So anyway, let's get into Bitcoin here. So going back on the day or weekly, I apologize. So on the weekly here, so this is my Aaron band. I keep it up most of the time. especially for weekly stuff. We were in the band. We've closed in the band for a couple weeks now. Get rid of all this noise and stuff. Um, and so when we're in the band like this, especially when it's kind of like wider like this, it's usually a time of indecision. And you can see this here back in April. We did pretty much the same thing. We here for a couple weeks. We went back up and then it actually posted bearish, which is what the gray is for. So we may get something similar to that. We actually have something similar here. We had like a little bit of a divergence here. This was not a divergence, but very similar structure to the divergence in March. Went back down, kind of went back up, somewhat of a retest. Got the same situation here. So if you want to look at this from like so, here's your retest point, okay, and we have something very similar here. Not quite the same, but very similar, right? And so that's kind of what I'm looking at. We're back inside the middle here, but this one actually closed inside without it trending bearish first. I think it's very interesting. The Aaron is giving us a very wide bearish wedge, which means we probably will come back down larger than this would. So this was more indicative of like a continuation, where this looks more like an actual drop down. So we'll see. And I don't want to discourage people because we do have a hidden bull div. So I do want you to keep that in mind. But as far as the weekly is concerned, if you want to map out the band here, okay, this is what it looks like from a SR perspective. 97.9, so basically 98,000 to the upside would get me in more interested in the bullish thesis. And then below, basically going into $89,000 territory, would be more interested in the bearish territory. So we'll see where that goes. And I know that's a big range to work with, but this is kind of where the frustration lies. Is like every day, like things just don't seem to work, and it looks stupid. It looks stupid, but it's just like that's kind of how the market is right now. And so we've kind of got to be patient with this. But we did close within the band, so that is concerning for me. Now we were in price discovery. Actually, we still technically are in the price discovery range. So I can't really do much as far as retests go. Okay, but we did have something like here where this was your retest point right here. We're kind of settling on that zone. So I do think bulls could get a chance here. Now, with this wedge, we're at 71 and 0. So that could take up to 10 days to work out. And the math with that is 71 divided by 7, basically. And then you always round down. Even if it's like 7.9, you round down, right? So it's like 7, basically. So that's how, so 71 divided by 7 rounded down is 10. So you have up to 10 days for this to work. So if the bulls can hold this zone for, or 10 weeks, I meant to say 10 weeks. If the bulls can hold for 10 weeks, which is unlikely, then we have a whole new run. Now, sometimes, depending on how these, wicks are, that can shift. So hopefully it does. We'll see how that works. But so far, not too bad because Aaron Group does, go after wicks. So that's pretty much it for the weekly. There's not much. Sorry, I'm sick, so I apologize for the sniffling. I'll try to mute when I can, but this is kind of just where we're at in the markets. And so with that being said, I don't think this is really tradable right now. I think this is more of just a wait and see. And this goes back to what I've been saying more towards my private group, but it's not sensitive information, right? Like I've been buying spot Bitcoin, like very small, literally like $10, $20 at a time, $50 at a time, usually like once a week, once a month, something basic, right? And the idea is I just want to get in the habit of putting extra money that I have aside. Even if I could afford to put more, I'm only going to put a little bit. Just getting into that practice for one, and two, the goal is I know as someone that has been around for a long time that Bitcoin is a special asset class. It's really its own asset class. It's like gold in some senses. It's like currency in other senses. In some ways, it's stock, but not really. It's more defined as digital gold, I would say. If I really want to unfairly summarize it as such. But I also know that there's a limited of 21 million coins, and that's also why I made my series called 21 million minutes. 21 million Bitcoin is all that there's going to be. And so the goal is to set aside, extra Bitcoin and just forget that I even have it. So the goal is, and I've got Bitcoin in my normal portfolios, right? But I want to set aside extra. And so that's the thing, because I know if I can set aside at least one and forget about it, then I know one day that's going to be $10 million. Okay, and I really think that that's the case. I really do. And so the goal is, and like I said, I got Bitcoin in my normal portfolio, but I want this to be aside. And so and so something like this is making me think, well, this is where this comes into play, like just buying it in small amounts. Like if you're interested, if you guys are interested in trading, because this what's so silly is some of you guys trade because you're bored. You trade because you're bored. Okay? Stop trading because you're bored. Now, at the same time, if you do want to trade because you're bored, buy some Bitcoin. Buy $10 worth of Bitcoin, $20 worth of Bitcoin. Don't buy that extra coffee or that extra donut you don't need if you're turning 35 plus, okay, and you got kids. Don't eat that extra thing of ice cream. Spend it on Bitcoin instead. Buy it and forget that you have it. And that's kind of what I'm looking at here with that. Like if you're bored and you're trying to trade while you're bored, don't trade while you're bored. But if you're going to, buy a little Bitcoin and put it aside. Forget that you have it. Okay? Because you're going to lose that money anyway. I just saw a thing that said, with pump.fun, like people have lost over $300 million. Okay? And most of that, guess what? Was people that had a net worth under 50,000. Okay? I think they attributed to about $50 million of that. So 1/6 of all the people that lost the money was the poorest demographic. So don't waste your money on that. Buy Bitcoin instead. So anyway, let's go to Ethereum. All right, let's take a look at ETH here. Now, ETH is a little bit different here. I've been vocal in some of my other videos that between Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, ETH is probably going to be the best performer. And I really think so. I think ETH will be the best performer for the next 6 months. And so, right off the bat, I want to tell you that. I think Bitcoin's going to run. I think Ethereum's going to run farther. And I think Solana is going to stall. And you can kind of see that here where ETH is performing better than Bitcoin and then better than Solana. So, and I'm not saying that just because it's up here on the screen. I'm saying that because I do think that's the case. And we'll look at this from a few different standpoints, but mainly from the weekly standpoint, I want to mention this trend line right here that I've pointed out for a couple weeks now in my premium videos, but I wanted to bring this to light on the high time frame perspective. And so just to clarify, like the premium videos are usually 1 day time frames unless otherwise specified. My observation videos are almost always weekly time frames. So that's the idea. Um, those of you that don't want to sign up for anything, which I totally respect, you have the weekly time frames and other videos I got, right? And so for lower time frames, those are usually my trading groups. I don't have a sponsor. I don't do sponsors, okay? Unless I just get a really massive sponsor that I really couldn't refuse. I have a lot of issues with sponsorships, mainly because they have specific demands, things like that. I want to be able to talk freely and to talk as an educator, not as some sort of shill artist, because I hate shill artists, okay? And so that's why I also have a trading group that also helps support me, support you, and then that's reciprocal, right? It's reciprocal. I don't make a lot of money off the group. I really don't. And the point is not to make money off the group necessarily. The point is to um, respect my time as I respect yours, and then it's reciprocal, right? And so, anyway, so with this, with the weekly, we held this a couple weeks ago, or less than a couple weeks ago. I was very adamant that we absolutely need to hold that zone. We did. I was adamant as well that we needed to have a bullish candle on the close. We did. So we got that. We got the hold on the bear candle, and then we got the pushback up on the bull side. So this is really good. I really, really, really like this. Okay, this is a key indication that we are probably going to bounce higher. Okay, that doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to continue to bounce. Like it doesn't mean we're going to go to 5,000 tomorrow, right? So that's part of it. Now we do have a few things to look at. From Aver's side, we had the bearish cross, but we have an hour consolidation. When both of these lines come back down, that's a bullish consolidation. That's a good sign. It's a sign that the bulls are starting to take over the bearish trend here. So what I am seeing here is you have this order block here. I think that we're going to get a push back up to basically 3,000. Okay, and I think we'll get that within the next week or two. Possibly even 3 weeks, but I think we'll still get that. Now we have some room to grow through that. We have this resistance band, right? We have this SR flip, so we have all those things that we need to overcome. But that's something that we can just work on, and and go from there. As of right now, we'll take that, right? We'll take anything that we can get, but I think this is looking pretty good. There's another order block here, okay? And so breaking above this zone here at about 2770, which we did earlier today, this would be pretty good. I think this is a great long opportunity right now. Like if you wanted to buy long-term Ethereum, I think right now is probably the best R&R that you're going to get. I really do. And that's why I also am focusing on a TA perspective because a lot of you guys are freaking out FA perspective wise, right? You guys are freaking out. Everything's this game. Oh, blah, blah, blah. I can't do this anymore. That's exactly when there's an opportunity. Exactly when. Okay. And so the time that you want to give up is the exact time you should not be giving up. So I think Ethereum looks pretty good here. RSI is still below 50, but that's par for the course. As far as the daily, this gives you some perspective. Like we had a push up. Like you can see that it's trying to get above here, but it just can't, right? So here's your perspective on that. The marker, it needs to go above. If it goes above there on the daily, that could give you a good daily signal to get in. Okay. Doing something like so, let's say targeting four or whatever you want to do. Like if this is like a spot portfolio position, this would be something I would be looking at. Not necessarily, obviously you wouldn't do stop on 7% or whatever, but you see where that goes, right? I think this presents a good opportunity. If we can get that small little flip, I think this looks very, very good. So anyway, that is Ethereum. Let's go to Solana. All right, Solana here, and not too much as well. Like, and that's the thing when it comes to these videos. Like, I could sum these all up in 30 seconds. Like, not much, not much, not much. See you later next week. But we still need to look at the data, see where this goes. Now with Solana here, first of all, you have this order block I've already marked out. This was a video from yesterday. We're at about 175. We need to hold that for the weekly. Now that being said, we're already breaking down the trend line, and I mentioned in yesterday's video as well, and it was a smaller video, so I can understand if you didn't watch it. But the trend line with this kind of slope, when the slope is up more, it tends to break. Okay, so that doesn't surprise me. We also have a bearish band here. We just had this bearish cross here. And so that is a sign of weakness as well. Excuse me. So we have a lot to work with here. This is also one of my reasons why I think Solana is going to be weaker than Bitcoin and Ethereum over the next month. Really towards the end of March, I would say. I keep thinking it's already end of February. But more so the end of March is when I think this will stop. So I think as far as the perspective, we just went below the RSI as well. As far as trading, I really think the main focus should be Bitcoin and Ethereum. Like I said, theme of this video, Return of the King, focusing on Bitcoin. And that's the thing, like even if you go to Bitcoin, that's pretty much it for Solana. There's not really much to work with. You have the drop down here. It needs to hold. You get a spring above 191, basically. But so with Bitcoin here, going back here roughly, like even if we drop to like 85,000, okay, which we think is significant, right? And it is, but that's 10% down. That's not that much, okay? A lot of you guys had your alts go down 10% in half a day, or one day really. So would you rather hold Bitcoin and go down 10%, or would you rather hold some random coin and go down another 50 to 80%, right? Something like that. Like take Bonk for example. Like there's people out there really advertising Bonk to you, like. And I'm not trying to criticize Bonk guy, but he's been very vocal while it's gone down 67%, telling you to buy while things are going down 67%. Okay, and that's where these type of people can be dangerous. I'm not saying they are. I do criticize him. I do follow him, however. So I really want to be clear about that. I'm not hating the guy. I'm really not. But he's also part of the same group of people that says you're hating someone if you're not saying anything positive about that. And so, but the thing is, he's very vocal. He's very public. People are going to have responses to his content. Okay, and we view this as content, whether consciously or unconsciously. When he's talking about this over and over again and again, will Bitcoin will Block go to a new all-time high? Maybe. I don't know. But that's not where we're at right now. The point is, he's been telling you about his conviction in Bonk. He has never told you to buy, to be clear. So I do want to be clear about that. But it's gone down 60, almost 70%. Okay, and I don't feel, we talk about conviction, right? My conviction is I don't think you should be talking about an asset that continues goes down like that, knowing that people will buy. Okay, not even if you did not tell them to buy, knowing that they'll buy just based off of the social noise that comes with it. And so that's where I see it. Okay. Now with Bonk, I think we're going to go back down here to about the 1,000 sats, but that's neither here nor there. Focusing on the big three right now. But 10%, I could see. That's just hypothetical. I'm not saying that we'll go down 10%. And if we do go down, I think it would be much farther. To be honest with you, I think it'd be almost 20, but I don't think we'll go down that far. I think we have a lot to cover before we get to that. My issue is I'm not concerned like don't come to me and ask me targets like, well, Otsu, how much do you think we're going to go down or up? Like, I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at the two angles on this, and so that's a range. Okay, and so whatever side of the range we come out of, that's the range that we trade. So that's how I view it. I don't look at targets anymore. I just look at ranges. So anyway, that's little update on that. So that's the video. Let me know what you think. I'm happy to discuss things more. A little shorter than normal, but I want to get shorter with this. Look forward to my video, 21 million minutes later this week. Also, go ahead and check Apex Premium, which is my trading group, if you desire. So, that being said, that's the video. Let me know what you think. I'll see you next time.